Formula One's 2026 car has finally been unveiled and the drivers hate it. They didn't hold back on exposing one fatal flaw the new car has. It's as slow as a tortoise. Let's hear the negative reception from all of them today, starting with future Ferrari driver Lewis Hamilton. Just before the Canadian Grand Prix, the FIA announced the highly anticipated new regulations for the 2026 F1 season. A key highlight is the introduction of lighter cars, with 30 kilograms being shaved off their weight as part of the nimble car concept. But this change didn't seem to thrill Hamilton much. Hamilton hasn't tried out the 2026 F1 car in the simulator yet, but other drivers who have tested it described it as quite slow. While Hamilton praised the development of the power units, which will equally utilize electrical power and an internal combustion engine running on sustainable fuels, he emphasized that the regulations also need to enhance the racing experience. Lewis Hamilton thinks the 2026 F1 cars will still be on the heavy side and shared his wish list for the FIA after hearing from some drivers that the cars seem pretty slow. Speaking to the media in a press conference before the Canadian Grand Prix, he said, "I mean, it's only 30 kilos, so it's going in the right direction, but it's still heavy. I've spoken to some drivers who have driven it on the simulator. I haven't, but they said it's pretty slow. So we will see whether it's actually the right direction or not. But I think in terms of sustainability, particularly on the power unit side, I think that's a really bold step and I think it's going in the right direction. We've just got to make sure that cars are efficient, fast and an actual step forwards, and actually racing is improved." Current champion Max Verstappen had a more positive take on the next generation car. He mentioned that Red Bull has made good progress in simulations for the 2026 cars. He noted that the lap times relative to the current cars would mainly depend on the characteristics of each track. "I've seen a lot of simulation within the team. It's not like it suddenly came out now and now we start developing. It's something that has been around and fine-tuned, of course," he said. "And I have to say, from the first time I saw it to the latest updates that I've seen, I think they made really good progress on how the engine is working with the chassis and the relationship on the straights and stuff. Some tracks I think will be better than others naturally when you are more energy limited, but that's something that we have to deal with." George Russell, soon to be Hamilton's ex-teammate, anticipates that the new F1 rules for 2026 will significantly alter car performance. With the internal combustion engine set to run on synthetic fuel, it will contribute less to the total power. Russell acknowledged that this has led to some compromises in the plans for F1's new chassis rules. He told Sky Sports, "There's a lot of exciting things about 2026. I think mainly for the power unit. I think that's an exciting change for the sport and it's a really good direction that we're going in with the sustainable fuels. We're going more towards electrification, and there has to be some compromises along the way." George Russell, who also serves as a director of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, highlighted that safety concerns at speeds exceeding 230 m/h on straights are something the FIA would need to monitor closely. "I think when it comes to safety, unfortunately, history has told us that incidents need to happen before changes are made," he said. "Everybody needs to do a really thorough job ahead of these regulations, because the cars are going to be so quick and have so little downforce on the straights that it's almost going to feel like you are floating and flying through the air. If you can imagine in a race where it starts raining and you are on slick tyres doing 250 on a street circuit, that's going to be a bit of a sketchy place to be. These are questions that need to be answered, and to be fair to the FIA, they are fully aware of this, and on top of this and looking at all of the possible scenarios of what could happen. To better match the new power units, the 2026 cars will incorporate active aerodynamics to reduce drag and boost straight-line speed. But this will lower their peak downforce, resulting in slower cornering speeds. "I think the cars we'll be seeing in 26 will be very different to what we have today," said Russell. "So we're going to be much faster in the straights. They will be slower in the corners and they may be slower around a lap." That being said, Russell isn't worried that slower lap times and lower cornering speeds will make the cars less exciting to watch. "We're 20 drivers who probably are the only ones who feel that. When you watch on television, maybe you can't tell if you go through a corner at 250 or 200. I don't know, to be honest, because when I watch MotoGP, that still looks really quick, and they go through a corner 100 km/h slower than what a Formula One car does. So there's always a compromise. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. For me, it's good racing. I don't really mind how quick the cars are around the track. You want to have good racing, hard racing and strong competition, ideally between every team and every driver." Fernando Alonso also expressed his skepticism about Formula One's goal to make the 2026 cars 30 kilos lighter, especially as reliance on electric energy increases. With ongoing concerns about how the new cars will perform, the Aston Martin driver doubts F1's ability to achieve this weight reduction. "I think it is impossible probably to achieve 30 kilos already," the two-time F1 world champion said. "If the power unit is 50% electric and you need the batteries to support that, cars will just increase 20 or 30 kilos because of the power unit. And then you want to reduce 30 kilos. And then you want to reduce 30 kilos. You need to drop 60 kilos of the current car, which is the same as at the moment. Probably to the teams an impossible target. They have 2 years to achieve that target, and as always in Formula One, what is impossible in 2024 will become reality in 2026, because there are very clever people in the teams. But I think all is a consequence of something else that is in the cars." Williams driver Alex Albon expressed concern about the extremely slow speeds the new cars are reportedly achieving in the simulator, but he believes that making the cars smaller is a step in the right direction. When asked by motorsport.com about the 2026 rules, he said, "Let's see. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it's going to be very slow. Extremely slow. I'm guessing there's a lot of stuff being done around making sure the straight-line speeds are not tapering off at the end with all of the MGUK and whatnot being involved. I still think there needs to be some work done. Seeing the speed traces around some of the tracks, it's pretty slow. Lighter cars, I don't think that weight comes for free. It's more just a commitment from the teams to try to get down to that weight. The size of the cars, I think, is the right direction. Obviously, it seems to be that to recover what these new engine regulations are creating, everything becomes extremely complicated. I'd rather just have a bit more simple engines." Press conference host Tom Clarkson brought up the topic with Nico Hulkenberg, noting that Hulkenberg was part of a recent meeting about the 2020. Press conference host Tom Clarkson brought up the topic with Nico Hulkenberg, noting that Hulkenberg was part of a recent meeting about the 2026 F1 rules. Hulkenberg will be driving for Audi as the German brand begins its Formula One venture in this new era. Similar to Hamilton, Hulkenberg downplayed the importance of weight loss, emphasizing that a significant decrease in downforce will result in quite a different scenario and characteristics compared to the current Formula One cars. "Yeah, it's certainly quite different," he confirmed. "Some interesting areas and aspects. I think some that still need a bit of further work. Like Lewis said, I think the weight reduction is good, but then 30 kilos is also not the world. It looks like a lot less downforce, especially high-speed corners. It will be quite a different scenario and characteristics to now. There's going to be definitely a drastic change, and change is always, you're not always so open to it, but we'll see what happens between now and in the 1.5 years, if there might be some small adjustments or not. Now that you've heard from the best, we want to hear from you next. Share your thoughts on the 2026 car in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.